There
You
are
don't
no
have
models.
any.
Models are pseudoscience. I have my question now, please.
Go
Go
ahead.
for it.
You said you had an experiment.
Yeah.
What's the hypothesis?
What do you mean? What's the hypothesis?
Apparently, Sly Sparkane doesn't know that you have to have a hypothesis before you have an experiment.
Well, an experiment is a hypothesis test.
Yeah.
So you have to have an hypothesis before you have the experiment, right?
Right.
So now Sly Sparkane agrees that you have to have a hypothesis before you have an experiment.
So what? Here, share his screen and let him write down what phenomena he observed, the alternative hypothesis,
Wait a minute.
the
What
independent,
phenomena I
dependent
observed?
variable, and the null hypothesis for
Hold
us,
on,
please.
hold on a second. Hold on a second. The
Yep.
You're talking about something that's happening in the future. I can't exactly show you what the observation was.
Now we have Sly Sparkane divining future natural phenomena.
No, that's it.
What's this?
No,
boy
no,
you're
no,
talking
no.
about? I've never seen
Before
it.
you have an experiment, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have to have a hypothesis.
Okay.
Because an experiment is a hypothesis test.
Mm-hmm.
Do you follow that?
Now we have Sly Sparkane agreeing that before you have an experiment, you have to have a hypothesis.
So
Oh, yeah.
what's your alternative hypothesis? Independent variable, dependent variable, and your null hypothesis.
Well, I
Can-
will know
can you-
that once I have the results.
Now Sly Sparkane thinks after you get the results from your experiment, you then provide the hypothesis.
You
Hold on.
can't. Oh my goodness gracious, sir! You can't do an experiment before you have the hypothesis.
Really?
Yes,
Really?
that's correct.
Now Sly Sparkane is surprised to find out that you have to have the hypothesis before the experiment.
An
So-
experiment is a hypothesis test. To
Oh.
test the hypothesis, you have to have the hypothesis first.
Interesting.
Now Sly Sparkane finds the concept of having the hypothesis before the experiment interesting.
Isn't it? Scientific method is pretty interesting, isn't
Yeah.
it?
Now, what if I told you that I'm going to compare this to an observation that happens every year?
I don't care what you compare it to. I want to see the alternative hypothesis, the independent variable, dependent variable, and the null hypothesis.
Tell you
Then
what, Quantum. Tell you
we'll
what,
see
Quantum.
the experiment.
Quantum.
Don't
Tell
tell
you
me what. Tell me what I just asked you.
No,
or it's
I'm going to tell you
ridiculous.
the answer that you're going to have.
Now Sly Sparkane is going to give us the answers, his results, before he has the hypothesis and the experiment.
Okay.
You're
This is
just
the answer you're going to
chasing
have.
our tails.
No,
The
it's
answer
not.
you're gonna have.
If it was chasing your tail, then I wouldn't be asking for results. I would be just giving them. Correct?
Now Sly Sparkane asserts that we're not chasing our tail because if we were chasing our tail, he would be giving us the results like he said he was just going to do 5 seconds before.
You can't get results without a hypothesis.
Right.
So now Sly Sparkane agrees that you can't have an experiment without the hypothesis first.
And I'm going to be comparing this to a known observation.
So you're going to do. Yeah, but that's not a hypothesis.
Oh yeah, it is.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
Let's hear
Okay,
it. Hold
define
on.
a scientific
Hold on,
hypothesis.
John.
No.
So
hold on,
let's
hold on.
let's hear. He's asked you, now I'm asking you, Sly. So if you've got
What's
a
that?
hypothesis, let's hear it. The cause and effect relationship, the if and then, the independent and the dependent variables. Can we hear those, please?
When I produce the video, sure.
So now Sly Sparkane is going to give the hypothesis after he's completed the experiment and when he produces the video.
No. We need to hear those before you do the experiment because an experiment is a hypothesis test. Are you deaf as well, like Brenda? Did you not hear what was just said to you?
Nathan, check it out, man.
I asked you a question.
I've
Are
heard-
you
I've
deaf?
heard you- I've-
Are you deaf, Sly? It's just been explained to you.
Okay,
Yeah?
I've heard your question.
The
If you
answer
produce a direct hypothesis about your satellite dishes,
Now, Sly Sparkane feebly attempts to shift the burden of proof fallacy via a red herring fallacy by asking us for our direct hypothesis. Direct hypotheses don't exist. He just made it up.
A direct hypothesis, my word.
As opposed to an indirect hypothesis?
No, direct meaning concise. Excuse me.
Now, Sly Sparkane corrects himself. He didn't mean a direct hypothesis, he meant a concise hypothesis. What the hell does that even mean?
Okay,
Concise,
but, okay.
meaning
So
short?
are you saying that an experiment is not the test of a hypothesis? Is that your
No, I
position?
didn't say that at all.
Excellent. So let's hear your
Okay, so
hypothesis,
let's hear your
please.
hypothesis then. Yeah.
Why? So you can just nut on it?
Apparently now, Sly Sparkane has the hypothesis. He's just withholding it from us.
No.
We haven't heard it
So
yet.
we can write it down. We're gonna write it down.
What if
We're
I
gonna
told
evaluate
you? What if I told you I'm going to be comparing, okay, the observations of however many people participate with an observation that is widely used, honestly, by flat earthers and believed to be 100% fact and true by flat earthers.
Now, Sly Sparkane is cleverly going to employ a stereotype fallacy, then invoke his special Evo mind powers to divine hundreds of thousands of complete strangers' thoughts.
As well as globe
Hey,
earthers.
no, you can't speak to all flat earthers. How do you know what I
Actually,
believe?
Eraser, I can, because you got
What is-
everything else.
You haven't
What does
answered the
anyone's
question.
beliefs have to do with your experiment?
This
Right,
is
Right, we've got it.
ridiculous.
It's all
Well,
right.
then you'll see.
We've got a few minutes left.
It's
Sly,
comparisons.
Sly,
One
Sly.
second,
Try to
one
pay
second,
attention.
one
Sly,
second.
try to open your
Comparison.
ears, close your mouth, and open your ears. Right. An experiment is a hypothesis test. You are
Yep.
saying that you want people to help you in your experiment. Before
Yes,
they
sir.
do so, and before I can put my stamp of approval on your experiment, we
Doesn't
must
require your
first hear. Try to shut your mouth and open your ears. We must first hear your hypothesis. So,
No, you don't.
hold on, Sly. I know you're very eager. I know you've already got to the experiment stage before presenting your hypothesis. So try and
need to.
open your ears and listen. We
Don't need to.
need, for a hypothesis, an independent and a dependent variable. Can you tell us what those are, please, sir?
Sure, when I make the video.
Now, Sly Sparkane is going to give us the hypothesis after the experiment and before he makes the video.
No, that would be after you've
Yes.
done your experiment.
So you're not going to
Before,
participate.
before, Sly, try to listen closely. I'll speak slower. Before,
Nathan, my
try to
NSA is
listen. I'll speak very slowly for slow Sparkane. You need your hypothesis before your experiment.
Yeah.
Now, Sly Sparkane again agrees that we need the hypothesis before the experiment. Yeah.
So
much for
can
the
we
experiment,
have
Sly.
it, please?
Well, this is the resistance I was expecting from flat earthers anyway. Y'all have a
You
nice
don't
day.
understand
Not
the
resistance, an
scientific
adherence to
method,
the
sir.
scientific method.
Yeah, goodbye.
I think
Oh, did
that's
he
a
drop?
concession.
Let's just clear this
I can
up.
see why
Let's just
people
get it
hate
clear
him.
for the audience. Sly has just
Wow.
rage quit. Goodbye,
He's-
Sly. Good to have you, you coward. Let's just make it
That
clear
was
for
a
the
rage
audience.
quit, wasn't it?
You know, with a,
Yeah.
with a name like that.
It
Do
was a
not
concession.
participate with Sly. He is not adhering to the scientific method. He is a retard. Pretend a clown, and you will be wasting your time.